Hi everyone, Coach Carl here at ShadowBox Martial Arts. Hope everyone's doing well. Second podcast up here. Again, got Coach Jake out joining us for the podcast. Just covering some fight topics, fight discussions, a few of the past week events, most recent ones. It'll give you any indication of where we're at. We're in November, but with like the Topuria era, seems to be everyone in the gyms don't mention the Topuria. A little bit on the last podcast as well. We did say from the last update it's going to be few weeks. The business has just been a lot busier than expected. We had 0 fights 1 week, and then what was it, 5 the following week?
4 or 5,
and then we had
more.
It's just been ridiculous. Like, we've been cornering, obviously dealing with the expansion of the business, and just as every gym owner would imagine or knows, there's a lot to deal with. Do you know what I mean? So sometimes things pop up, but the intention is still there. We all still have every intention of having the podcasts coming through thick and fast in the near future, and then obviously content on there as well, breakdowns, all the other versions of following fight camps and things like that. So, the gym's been going a while now, so starting to get a few of the like Brandons and Owens and that's starting to come up, and a few of the kids starting to come up who are competing now. So like I say, Jake, hand it over to Jake.
This table also, just to mention, took 2.5 months to do. Carl said he could whip it up about 10 minutes, and that's why it took so long. Anyways, pushing on. Basically, at the minute in the UFC, we've got a massive discussion in the MMA community, and that is we've got Pereira, who's been sick all year, probably the best kickboxer in MMA, and then you've got Topuria on one half, who's got Volk and Holloway both KO'd in his last 2 fights. And the big discussion basically is who deserves Fighter of the Year this year.
It's hard to pick between the two of them. Do you know what I mean? It's hard to pick.
I thought it was.
What do you prefer, full English breakfast on a Sunday, some mornings, or a Sunday dinner?
Well, initially I was thinking it's a tough one, but then when you look at it, when you look at Alex and you look at Max and you look at their resumes, there's no one else at featherweight bar Aldo who's as good as them two. So in his last 2 fights, he's stopped 2 of the 3 GOAT featherweights.
You had Conor when Prime Conor.
Yeah, but he didn't defend the title.
Nah, you're right.
And I think
even the accolades have surpassed what Conor done now.
100% of featherweight.
Obviously not the. He's a unicorn, Conor. Do you know what I mean? He is a unicorn. He had that the way that he started. I don't think you'll see that kind of thing. I think that's like Anderson Silva. The closest thing Anderson Silva was Adesanya. But it still wasn't. Despite that, do you know what I mean?
Was 16 wins in a row.
That stuff. I think what Topuria has done surpassed them. I really do. Like you said, I think you look at Topuria's early fights, he's submitting everyone now, he's knocking everyone out like a knockout artist, and like you say, he's by far the best boxer in that division, if not one of the most technical boxers in the whole of the roster. Like, it's
just the well-roundedness of it all as well, because not only is he doing it in MMA, he was a Golden Gloves champion in Spain twice, or the equivalent of a national champion or whatever. He's got his black belt in jiu-jitsu, his jiu-jitsu stupidly strong. He come into the UFC as a grappler.
As I'm saying, the first 6 fights, I think you watch him on YouTube, it's literally submitting.
Jiu-jitsu specialist, he's subbing everyone, this, that and the other. Then all of a sudden his hands are just made of, well, not all of a sudden, but now that he's shown it, his hands are made of bricks, It's
like his 7th fight or something, might be wrong with him. I think his 8th or 7th fight. He's just like, it was like watching, I said this to one of the lads that day, it was like watching Paddy. Like Paddy's even said himself, like Paddy Pimlet, he looks like a boy in loads of his fights, and then all of a sudden he looked like a bloke. I think it might have been his last fight before he got in the UFC, or his first fight in the UFC.
Crazy.
He looked structurally completely different, Paddy. If you look at him, he looked like he put muscle on and that.
If you look at him in Cage Warriors and that, he did look like a bit like...
He was a younger lad, he's a younger lad, but then it's like looking at Max in his early days, compared to now. I mean, Max never been a big bloke anyway, like muscle bound.
But like when Max fought Conor, he was like 20 and that.
Exactly, a lot different. But I think when you look at Topuria, there was a certain point where he done the same thing as Pai, where he looked. I'm sure it's like his 7th one, 7th professional win or something, or 7th one of the. I watched the clip the other night. It was like a 45 or 50 minute clip on YouTube, and it was like all of his wins to the UFC, and it was like all stop it, sub knockout stuff, which is madness. Like, he gets dropped in one of the fights as well, quite a big range you pin. But I think like that kick that landed, when he got dropped in London, back and knocked him out. that kick, like, it seemed a lot of people nearly had success with it.
Right.
So I think the guy that landed it to say if I threw it out with just sheer skill, or he's been watching footage on him and he's worked it. But if you watch the Topuria, I was got his backhand up with that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like a lot.
I don't know who beats him at featherweight, like.
At the minute, like I say, I mean, but then again, who could you... I quite like comparing sometimes, but it's hard to do, comparing them all at the peak. Do you know what I mean? Like a peak Aldo versus peak Conor.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I think where he is at Topuria's not there yet.
Maybe not. I think just when I was watching them fight Max, it was just this constant thing of like you say with Pereira, of like if he's got that touch of death.
Yeah. You watch it and you think as soon as he guns, it's just fear.
Yeah, it's fear. Especially if you're a Max fan.
And you think he's gonna go, and then he goes. And
it just misses and it whistles past him. Do you know what I mean?
And you're like,
I mean that jab slap when he goes at him and slap and then steps and he hits him, he kicks like like he pushes all. I think like that probably knocked a lot of people out. You know what I mean? Max like testament to Max.
Because he drops so low, because he's short anyway, but he drops so low. So every shot, it's never like a straight. When he throws it, it's an overhand, and even his left hook, he kind of comes over a little bit. And because of that, he's generating so much force and getting all his body behind it. Everything he throws could just knock you out.
It's that weight distribution.
It's clean as well.
It's when you see him, he's on the he does like a lead uppercut, rear uppercut, and then a body. It's not like a bump. He's like turning, and then turning. It's like I see, it's like a boxer. I seen a thing like Topuria's pad works better than a pro boxer's pad work, and that was a meme. That's not my words, but it was like a post that had come up. But it was like I can see the comparison. Do you know what I mean? I think to answer your question, it'd probably be for my eyes Topuria, because as much as it's like any shots, anyone get knocked out. Obviously, Adesanya beat Pereira.
He did,
But then obviously Pereira's beat him, and it's like it's that back and forth thing. I think if they fight 10 times, I think Pereira wins most of the time, but I think Adesanya does clip him a few times.
Yeah, I mean they fought what 4 times, and
was it 3-1?
Adesanya, yeah, I think so. They fought twice in kickboxing, twice in MMA. Then is that right?
They fight twice in them.
Twice.
3-1.
And Adesanya said he wouldn't want to fight again. He said now that he's got it, that's it. He says no more.
Well, even Strickland when they were sparring, he says like, I'm not scared of it, but I know that just even there, if I had been a fight, you would have knocked us out. He's like, so it's like I'm not scared to fight you, but I know that when you hit us properly, I'm done.
That's it.
So it's like he is massive. Like I mean, he's not. I wouldn't call him a weight buddy because he's happy to fight heavyweights and all that. But it's like the issue I think I mentioned last time. I think the issue I'd always had with, in my eyes, the GOAT, John Jones, which I've got either him or GSP for me. Just the way GSP changed levels and everything and mixed it up, and he wasn't the best at anything, but he was the best at everything. Mixing it all together, do you know what I mean? Where I just think John was like, especially when he went through like Shogun, and then he went through like Rashad and like Machida. He went through the raw killers, but they were small compared to him. Let's be honest. As soon as he faced Reyes, he arguably lost.
But then you can only fight what's in front of you.
You can, but he could have been at heavyweight. But he was young at the same time, so fighting. But then again, like he was very. I think that I reckon there's a good shout for like a 215 division, like.
Yeah, I think if you were to make a 165 and then go 175, 185, 215, 220.
Because you've got the select people of like you've got like Reyes, Gustafsson, John Jones.
Or big at 205.
Like Pereira. They're big at 205, but but it takes them a year to put some size on.
You know what I mean?
Exactly. They're not like
Garnus and that.
They're not like Roy Nelson's weight. Do you know what I'm saying? Or like Mark Hunt's weight and that. You know what I mean? Like I guarantee you now, mate. I tell you what would have been a cracker fight if you could compare eras. Mark Hunt and Pereira. Imagine Mark Hunt and Pereira.
Pereira's too long, I think.
Mate, Mark Hunt was one of the best strikers.
Oh, he was sick. Don't get me wrong.
You see him in Pride
in K1 as well.
Would have been sick. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. He's been around the ring.
You watched like Mark Hunt and Bigfoot Silver fights. Do you know what I mean? It would have been. I mean, like I say, I think you could have one of the very few that the heavyweights, because a few of them even said like heavyweights can take the shots. So it would be interesting to say. Like obviously Pereira's Pereira.
Yeah.
But I answer your question, mate. I think the fight of the year for me would be Topuria, like just for what he's done. Like I say, like you're saying.
Two of the best of our time. Bar none, really, at featherweight.
Yeah. I think that's actually good to take it quite into the next segment quite nicely. It's this thing that I don't like when people do, but it's fun to do as a laugh, like comparing eras.
Right, yeah, I'm with you.
So like, I was thinking about the other day, like in your eyes, and obviously this is all subjective, yeah.
No, this is
the fact. Yeah, whatever we say is fact. Yeah.
If anyone disagrees,
then you're wrong. I don't care. You're wrong. No, this is obviously all subjective. Yeah, but like, who wins a prime Aldo?
Yeah.
Right, so when he's just leg kicking the fuck out of everyone, just destroying it. Like Uriah Faber's leg kick down the era, do you know what I mean? That
WEC just transition.
That era Aldo or Volk on his way up.
Oh, that's a nasty one.
For me, I just think Aldo would have cut his legs off. You know, that in and out. Volk's good at like the 1, 2, 3 strike. Like, he's really good at getting in.
Aldo's out.
But Aldo, I just don't think he could have held him down either.
Nah, maybe he's not.
Nah, I don't think he would be able to hold him. No one could, mate. I've practiced it still to this day, and I'm like a 0.1 out of 10 compared to Aldo. But like, as soon as he's also at the floor, he was so good at like flipping, and then the person on top would just have to flip and he was out.
Oh, yeah.
He would just use it as a method. They would open up and shrimp.
So as they were coming either side,
he was brilliant. I think he might have been a little bit wild. He never had like, until he got it. Like, what he did get better at as Aldo got like in his late 20s, he looked like he was 40 when he was 28. But like, especially now, like, he's not even that old. What is he, like 30?
I think he's only like later 30s and
38,
something like that. I didn't think.
That's now. I mean, I'm talking like 5 or 6 years ago. He's like 34. He looked 50. You know what I mean? Like he looked old, I bless him, but like he was technically probably better. Like when he like stopped Stevenson and all that, like with the body shot and all that. But he was very wild when he was in his day. That's one thing I'd say about him. Like, he was swinging like this a lot of the times. And I mean, when he got older, he was very much like he'd cross and go the body a lot.
I think people didn't know how to deal with him as well, particularly in the WC. If you watch him, they fight Faber and everyone else, and
the Mendez too was one of the best fights I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
I've watched that fight a silly amount of times. I can see like patterns of the fight in it now because I've watched it so many times. That Chad Mendez too, and Aldo and Chad Mendez number 2 fight. If you haven't seen it before, my God. Literally go and watch. It's on YouTube, I think, as well.
Yeah, it will be.
It's outstanding. I mean, they knocked each other down about 5 times.
Yeah, Chad Mendez was really underrated.
He's sick.
If it was a different time, he would have been a proper champ.
The fact that Volk stopped him was like, whoa, because they were very similar in style. I thought, I remember watching Volk coming through thinking, just Mendez, he looks maybe a little bit sharp on certain areas.
Yeah.
But like, he's not going to have the same guillotine as Mendez.
He's not going to have this.
But then when you see him fight, it was like, he's straight as hell.
A million times better than Chad Mendez.
Yeah, we stopped him. He knocked him out, didn't he?
Yeah.
Right, well overhanded. TKO'd him anyway.
Yeah. Didn't go the distance.
Who do you reckon then? Volk or Aldo on the prime?
I'd probably agree with you, Aldo, but I wouldn't bet on that fight if it was made. You know what I mean? Like I wouldn't. I wouldn't, because I've
be a 2.0 or 1.8, 2.0. It would be really bad odds.
It's a pick 'em, you know what I mean? Like, it's
not good odds, but you'd have to. It's 50-50, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very much a 50-50 fight, I think.
What about say like Prime Max? Just when he was just coming right through. I mean, saying he's only 32 now, to be fair, so it's a bit maybe he's still got. I think it's maybe a little bit of a false example for Max, but. We'll do it for fun anyway. So like a Max versus Prime Max versus Prime Connor, because he got him when he was younger.
Yeah, I think Max Holloway is when he was in his prime. I think he was too.
For even Prime Connor.
Yeah.
At 45.
I think Connor. This is gonna sound very controversial and
got lucky with these
disagree.
Fights.
People can disagree. I don't even think he got lucky. I think. He got very well sheltered for a lot of the time on the wheel until he fought really Mendez. Like he fought.
That was so nervous.
And before that, it was what, Dennis Seaver. Like Dennis Seaver was awful.
Yeah,
Marcus Brimage.
He was due to fight Thingy as well, the big lad. He won, wasn't he? But that's how he ended up fighting the Brazilian. What was he called? It wasn't tough. He fought him in Ireland. He was like a little Aldo.
Right.
Oh my God, he's class. Sorry
Barao.
for getting me. Barao.
Barao was good back in the day.
He was
35.
But he was always like exactly what tiny.
Yeah.
And that's the only stint I had with Conor. Like you say, he didn't have many. I mean, don't get us wrong. I don't think it would have mattered that much as well in his prime. I think he would have caught him coming in a lot of the time. You've got to look at this kind of standard of the 145ers striking compared to him. It was just not there compared to, like you say, Max.
But I think
Max gave him probably the best fight he had up until.
He did well, and he was only what 20, 21. Like, he was younger than me.
Conor was young as well.
I was, but he wasn't as young as Max.
No, he was a lot different.
I think he's got 6 years on Max or something.
That's a big difference in fight.
100%. Particularly if one's 20 and one's 26, 27.
Yeah.
But I think if you look at Conor, like his big losses, bar obviously ignoring Habib and that because it's different. If you look like the Poirier losses and stuff, like Poirier is very much a volume striker.
Poirier caught him as well, like in the fight.
Poirier, and he hits harder than Max.
But I do honestly think, don't get us wrong though, Conor's not prime Conor. I think that prime Conor always beats Poirier. At the time, I think he always beats him. Like I just think because he hit Poirier when he was like Conor now anyway. He just didn't hit him with the velocity, and it's like I've seen people making the comparison. Prime Conor was like this, whereas then you've got now he's like boxing Conor, he just walks him down. And it's like I don't think that beats most of the top 5 anyway. To be honest, it beats like you say maybe Cowboy and that. The Cowboy was a slow start, and he wasn't known to be able to take a big shot anyway.
And what got me about the Cowboy fight is he took Cowboy. He had the chance to fight him when Cowboy was on a 3-fight win streak. He waited until he lost 3, and when he was on that decline, when he'd lost 3 in a row, then he went, I'll fight.
I mean, you don't know. A lot of it could have been with timing and things and contracts and pace testing.
Cowboy wouldn't have beaten him either way. I just think he would have waited for an easier fight.
I think Cowboy could have, like, in prime Cowboy, would beat Conor now.
Yeah, 100%.
You know what I mean? But, like, you can't ever see that's, like, in La land, isn't it? So it's, like, I just think, like, Conor, I don't think he ever got, and when I say lucky fight, I was just asking if that's what Jacob was going to refer to, but I don't think he ever got, obviously no one got lucky, made his own luck, didn't he, fucking hell. And that's Conor McGregor, but he never, like you say, he was fighting much smaller. I mean, everyone he was huge at that weight.
And no real grapplers until Mendes.
And like I say, Mendes did give him problems.
Yeah.
Okay, Conor cut 24 count because he busted his knee or busted his toe, whatever it was. He couldn't make the weight cut in the centre of that, but
he did stop him. He did. It was a lovely stop.
After a bad camp, he stopped him. Do you know what I mean? So, but that was the dangerous side of him. That was because he was in prime Conor. You can get prime Conor on a bad night, and he's still going to stop a lot of the top lads. I just don't think you'll. Well, everyone knows you're not going to see that at Conor again.
Nah,
you're never going to see that at Conor again.
I don't think you'll fight again, to be honest with you.
But I do still think a prime Conor still beats a prime Max. Like, I think Max was lucky that he got Conor when he did as well. But then again, I think that Max was to an extent lucky that Conor blew his knee out. But then you can say, well, Max had him in the half guard, so Max was the one that held it.
Yeah.
But I do think that the fight would have looked a lot different if Conor hadn't blew his leg out. You know
I think so as well, but I
piecing him up a little bit.
I just think based on what Conor struggled with, it plays into Max's hand a little bit.
It's a brilliant fight to watch.
Yeah.
Conor gets a little bit predictable at one point because he keeps jumping him with the knee.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Like he jumps him with like I think it's a back scissor kick and then goes into a 1-2 or like a jab cross on it. It's a bit predictable and Max keeps cutting the corner. But it's still a min fight to watch, like, for anyone coming up and wanting to, like, break down fights and that's really good. Like, last one for me, who do you think, prime Conor versus, well, you mentioned before, didn't you? Prime Conor and Topuria.
You
think Topuria?
I think Topuria.
You still think?
Do you?
I think Conor would have caught him, like.
Do you?
I think Conor would have caught him coming in, I think.
Conor
would knock him out.
I actually think Topuria would go in. I don't think it's striking. I think you just get a hold of him. I'm not even kidding you. I reckon Topuria.
I don't know if there would have been a honestly, mate. I tell you what I'd love to have seen a prime Conor versus Khabib. Like when what they need, because I was.
And I wasn't
still think
prime Conor, but I think it would have been the same fight.
I used to say to the lad, I think because now there's a picture of him like that. I think I said that on the last podcast. It's like it's his kryptonite. Someone like that, because he's not going to ever be as good of a striker as Conor. And he's never going to catch up to him in the grappling, and he's going to always shoot 100%. 100%.
I mean,
he's always going to shoot.
I genuinely think if you let them two fight in any setting, 99 times out of 100, I think Khabib will beat McGregor.
What about a prime Tony Ferguson versus a prime Khabib?
I don't, because I could cry. I think
I don't think it would have looked fair. You know, I think Khabib would have ragdolled.
Looking at it now and looking at how like their careers
and stuff, what was one about before about like Conor having a bit of a. Like the way to how he got there.
Yeah.
And like I think he fought it's 8 to 9 times. I might be being very generous there. Conor didn't fight much in the UFC compared to like
5, 6.
You look at Poirier, Max, and all that. Like gauging and how much they fought. But like I think it's similar in the sense of Tony. even though Tony went on that run, he was
He's on a
defeated.
13 fight win streak.
And the ones I will say were phenomenal were like the Pettis win and all that.
Kevin Lee.
But he was getting dominated in that Kevin Lee fight, you know what I mean? But it was like Anderson Silva and Chael Sonnen fight. He showed to win.
Winners winning it.
So maybe he could have caught Khabib in that sense, but I think the whole fight would have looked like the first round of Kevin Lee.
Maybe.
And then the only way he would have caught Khabib was would have been by like an Anderson Silva Chael Sonnen one kind of thing. Like
time,
the last 10 seconds of the last round, do you know what I mean?
You know,
I went from not liking him.
Please make it. I was like, and every
well,
time.
I always
so many trips on a fucking cable.
And that was fucking bad. I do want to see, like, that's why I'm like rooting for Topuria all the time. It's not like how many watched all these fights that I need just for this. But
I like him. I just think he's
I didn't like him, but no one he was arguing with Paddy. I started saying him like he wasn't like that with anyone else. So he was like, maybe that's just the base when he's arguing with people, and he is quite a humble kid.
Oh, he was really respectful.
Really respectful. He wasn't. He didn't big himself up anything after match.
He was like, you're a champion. I've looked up to you for a long time.
He didn't like make anything which is about his family, which I liked. But I just think like he's supposed to be chucking at Dagestanians in wrestling and striking them. So that'd be interesting to see. Like, but I just think I think Conor would have caught him coming in, but I think Tony Ferguson and Khabib. I think it just would have looked like it would look like an easy win for Khabib, honestly. Even in Tony, because I think when you look at Tony Ferguson, I know it's hard to say, but when he got Pettis, I didn't like saying it about Diaz, but I think Diaz would have had a real problem. Like Nate would have had a problem with Pettis in the WEC days, like a massive problem. But then when he got Pettis was like on his way out. You know what I mean?
Wheaties box Pettis.
Wheaties box boy. Still the only one on the Wheaties box.
Aye.
But but it wasn't meant to be him. Like you say that thing, it wasn't meant to be.
Yeah, I saw.
It wasn't meant to be John Jones.
I think so.
Had an argument and he said
yeah.
But like the way that Diaz beat Pettis, I feel similar to the way that Ferguson got him. It was like he wasn't prime Pettis anymore.
No.
And don't get us wrong, it's not like Diaz is prime Diaz, but he's a lot more durable than all of them.
Well, he can keep going, can't he?
People are going to slate us for that, but I honestly think that a prime Nate beats most of them. Honestly, when you watch Nate fight, when he fought Cowboy or when he fought Gomi, honestly,
you've got to look at the level of competition.
I'd have felt a lot more. I would have fought a lot more comfortable with Nate versus Khabib than Ferguson fought fighting Khabib.
I thought you liked Nate.
But I think he's got ragdolls, but I think he's got a much higher chance of submitting than Tony.
Oh, he might.
But I still don't consider it would have looked similar. It would have ragdolled him, but I still think that Nate would have caught him. Whereas I don't see.
Or Nate had a chance of catching.
I think in his honestly, I think he would have caught Khabib. I think if they fight 10 times, I think Khabib probably ekes out this pissy little boring decision 6 or 7 times. But I think Nate catches him at least 3 or 4 times.
I don't know, 3 or 4.
I think he does. I think it's like what really put a showing on for me was when he fought. That was the thing, because the striking is the striking and all that, and you lose maybe the fast twitch muscles and all this other bits. But the grappling, you see a lot of fighters retire into grappling because they can still compete at that level.
Demetrius Johnson.
Exactly. You've still got Carlos Condit's just done it for you there. You've got Demetrius is the best example, but you've got a lot of them. And it's not like wrestling where it's hard on the body, hard on the knees and stuff, and it's Jits is it's a floor.
It's easier.
It's not easy, but it's a floor.
Yeah.
You've got to get headbutted now, by mistake, knee in the bollocks, you know what I mean, when the passing guard, things like that, but at a higher level, it doesn't even happen as much anyway.
Yeah.
Then obviously dangerous things come into play, with the subs and that, but I've digressed. What was I saying?
Just about Diaz.
I thought about Diaz. I think, I say, when he fought Pettis, that was the one thing for me when Pettis won the floor. And Pettis is sick on the floor. He's really unreal on the floor. And he went to grapple with Nate, and you could see there was just a different level of it. And I was like, oh yeah. I honestly think I would have loved to have seen him have a grapple with Damian Maia or something. Because he would have punched Damian Maia's head off, even though Damian Maia's bigger. But I would have loved to have seen how he handled it. Because even though I couldn't stand Ben Askren, a dream fight for me. It was like, because I followed obviously most people Conor's prime, and then I always loved Nate. So then when Nate and Conor got put together, it was like, my God, it was a dream. But then the other one was Ben Askren and Damian Maia. I always wanted to see them fight.
And then looked how it ended up.
Well, because I was like, how is this going to happen? You've got that level of a wrestler, because he's called funky for a reason. He's unorthodox.
Very unorthodox.
Versus that level of a jiu-jitsu practitioner. It's like, how is that going to look? And
so
it was
that spinning back fist though. You know,
oh, the striking's horrendous. I mean, Christ, he could knock Ben Henderson out with one hand behind your back, but I mean, if he's just going to stand there and fight you, but he'd also take you down with one hand and beat you with the shit out of you with one hand.
He probably wouldn't use his hands, he could probably run and just use his hips.
Just hold you out with his hips and stuff.
Just jump and use his hips.
And it'd make him make a bitch. But would you knock him out on the win? That's the issue. He's got, you know what I mean? But it's like, you've got like, that was just a technical masterpiece. And when you see them floating, at one point, it's unbelievable. When you see BJ
the grappling was nice, yeah.
It was sick. It was sick. I mean, like, for the fact that he put him out, it was like, whoa. It wasn't surprising, but it wouldn't have also surprised us if Ben Askren had just like wrestled for him, just blanketed him. Do you know what I'm saying? But it's interesting. I think that they compare, like I say, the differences. They didn't want to won a prime Chuck or a prime John Jones.
John Jones.
Even my brain went fuck off. You know what I mean?
Now the way you've got to look at it is that back then, like, obviously Chuck was in like a transitional period where MMA was starting to become, you're not just a wrestler anymore. By the time John Jones was doing it, you had MMA practitioners. Who was a wrestler. You know, they just learned how to punch.
On your guard.
Whereas you now, like, that's why when people say like, oh, the Diaz boys like legit and that, like, yes, it was really good and it looked really good then, but now the level that everyone trains everything at, I don't think it would be anywhere.
I don't think it would look as dominant now, but I still think at a higher level. I still, no one would dominate them on grappling still.
Maybe it's not, but I think a lot of people now at a much lower level than before can mix it up better.
Put it this way, like Topuria, I still think Nate would make everyone go, whoa. I don't think we'll look competitive with someone like Topuria. His grappling level and Nate.
Maybe he's not, but he just punch a hole in his head, wouldn't he?
Maybe he could. He's definitely could. He could catch Nate.
Oh, 100%.
I think that a prime Nate slaps the shit out of Topuria.
He might be too big for him.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. But it's like comparing, like I say, it's John Jones and Chuck. And John Jones is an unfair example, really, because John. But it's like, you know, I think that prime Reyes, when Reyes was coming through, I was a massive Reyes fan.
Reyes was sick,
he was class. Well, I think he beats prime Chuck, as mad as it sounds.
Yeah, probably.
He's just so dangerous. He was so fucking dangerous.
I think looking at the level of the actual sport itself as well, like, it's 15 years of advancement. I mean, people know what works.
Well, that's when you're going into the realm of you can't compare this and this.
Because it's like Dan Severn was a great wrestler, one of the best in UFC 4, 5, 6, 7, whatever numbers. Yeah. If you hide him in there now, he gets slaughtered by everybody because he doesn't know the rest of it. You know what I mean?
Well, look at the UFC, it's the basic.
Well, you were getting
your safe and you were fucking triangular and on, but
you didn't have to do that. You could say, oh, I've had 200 fights on the street. That's what a lot of them were like. Oh, I'm a street fighter with 150 bouts, and they were on UFC 1 and 2 and 3.
Yeah.
I mean, the first UFC was literally it was set up to make jiu-jitsu look good. That's all it was. So that's what UFC was all about. Yeah.
First few events were. But it's funny to compare them all. Like, I think, like you say, it's like who wins if they go the same stamp, but they had the same attributes. Not even Mighty Mouse or Mighty Mouse versus thingy would be a good one. Mighty Mouse versus lad.
Who?
Sorry, what's his name?
Brandon.
No, man, the heavyweight.
Who?
Tom Aspinall.
Oh, right.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Well, let's be honest.
But if they're both weight the same, you know what I mean? If they could both move in and out, do you know what I mean? It's like, to me, you can't really beat him.
No.
Mighty Mouse, he's just like a little computer.
The skill as you lower the weight gets higher. It's just natural. Because you're not.
That's why we're so good, isn't it, Jake?
Yeah, that's it.
But no, I know what you're saying. Like I say, you watch, and that's horrible to say, but you watch Ngannou when he knocked out that French, what's he called?
Cyril Gane.
No, that was he French. He might be somewhere else. Sorry, I forgot that nationality. Wrong one, is it?
Oh, Rosenstrike.
Aye.
Look, he speaks French. I can't remember what country he's from.
Something like that. But he just. He there was a picture and he was like, he's like this, and he's literally hit him like that.
And the uppercut's like there.
Aye. But like you see Mighty Mouse Johnson, you take a still of him and everything's just technically perfect, you know what I mean?
And then when you watch his breakdowns and shit, like,
he's one of the best.
IQ's like far beyond anyone else.
Him and Dan Hardy are for me the two top breakdown.
Dan Hardy's just the funniest one though, because he fought like a fucking idiot, like half the time.
When he come through, didn't he? First, he had the fastest rise to the belt.
He was up there, yeah. And then
he had 5 and 5. He won 5, got GSP, and then lost 5. It was mad. Something like that.
It was good competition at welterweight then.
It was one.
It's always been a good
really deep. Welterweight is always going to be a deep one. I think I think that's the average man. Isn't
it's like a middle kind of weight, isn't it? Like a base kind of weight.
And a lot of them are cutting down to 170.
From
180. 200. Yeah, the big men like. The big
Hamza Chimaev made him once, and I missed weight the second time or third time before there, but Hamza Chimaev's not a chance he should be at 170.
Sometimes I look at these fights, him, and you think to yourself, like, is he just that good? Like, everyone says he's just like, but then you look at him versus, like, I mean, he did, don't get us wrong, he done really well. I mean, that's Usman, to wrestle Usman, that was amazing. But then, like, you look at him, the rest of it, in the third round, Usman just started paying off on him. And then you've seen when he fought Burns. And it was like, well, if he was that good, why did he just can't throw them two like that? Do you know what I mean?
But then it's like the Burns fight was at 170, so he drained down to there.
But still, he's back up. You know what I mean? It's back up and all that. It's like, I mean, I know there's no IV and all that, but it's just like sometimes I look at him and I think, oh, he's human.
It's just what he.
But then you look at him, and you just think, that's what I'm saying. Then you look at what he done to Robert Whittaker. But then I did say it before the fight. Robert Whittaker's on his way though.
He might be, but
do you know what I mean? Like, he looked really good in that last one with that last guy. Never fought a level like Robert Whittaker.
Alistair Robbie. He's
and
good
he
fighter.
was on a losing streak, I'm sure, before that.
Rob.
Sure, he was losing before that. No, it's Rob Whittaker. He's one of my favourite fighters. He's predominantly a striker who's always going to get there. He's one of the few karate practitioners when he was in Tough, when he was younger. Like,
he had a karate case when he was a kid and that, didn't he?
Yeah, well, that's where that in and out thing comes now with his hands down. That's where it comes from. But like, he was the first one that made it look like his own little difference. Because if you look at when Conor, when he first come to the UFC, everyone's like, oh, look at this, it's a Gunnar Nelson 2.0.
Yeah.
Because Gunnar was in the UFC first before him.
It just wasn't the same.
And in the stance, if you look at Gunnar's, if you watch Connor's first few, it was the same. It's the same, and obviously Gunnar has copied Conor. In that stance. But then Conor would have also been training, and they've copied each other's stance. But like, in the sense of what we're talking about there with his stance.
Whittaker.
It's the same thing. He was in and out, and if you look with Chimaev, I think he'd been practicing his legs for like that. He was like that. And when Chimaev jumps, he does try and spring his leg back. He's still got the explosiveness. You can see it there.
I just think there was this thing I saw on Instagram. It's like this vicious dog like jumping and running towards one. It says Hamza Chimaev 10 seconds into his UFC bout or something. Because he obviously just he shoots from a million miles away. Like he'll shoot from the other across the room, and he'll just cling to your leg. It's mad.
I just think I'd love to see like Chimaev versus Pereira, something like that. Now I think you're seeing the two and the best.
It's the weight above now, isn't it?
They'll fight each other. Pereira, they're not gonna. You know what I mean? He's still a bit the weight above. But Chimaev would fight him.
Chimaev's taking that middleweight belt easy. I cannot see anyone stopping it.
I mean, I reckon that's what I'm saying. I want to see Chimaev versus Duplessis. I want to see like.
I think Drickus gets absolutely slaughtered.
I just think I always think that about him. When you see him, he looks so unorthodox and so easy to hit.
But the thing is, when he hits through, you know, like when he steps through and that, he's gonna be stepping his leg through, and then Chimaev's
the reckon when he grabs you,
his grappling's sick. I've seen some of his bouts from like KSW and that.
The reckon it's ridiculous how strong he is.
His grappling's really good, and they do say he's like got strange strength, but at the same time, like.
But they said that with Chimaev now.
Different levels, you know what I mean?
Well, he says Chimaev's like a gun arm, like a tank in regards to strength. That's what he says. You know what I mean? He says he's like a gun arm, like a tank. I like Duplessis, but I just think like he's either gonna be Chimaev's either that where he is gonna just run through all that his weight, and then he needs to fight like Pereira and see what it's like. I want to see. I don't think the thing should be happening, mate, with Topuria in Volk weekend. Yes, Volk is one of my favourite fighters. He's definitely he's in my top 10, Volk, maybe top 15. I love Volk. He's class. He's a mint human being as well. He's like the perfect human being. He's mentally, he's sound. You know, might have a right laugh, I'm dead down to earth. He's class. But I think the way that Topuria done him doesn't warrant.
Well,
I think that what's it called?
They're not making that fight. They're making Volk Diego Lopez.
Oh, they're doing that. That's what I want to say.
Yes. Contender.
Right.
That's
what I want to say. Because that to me, like what the UFC differs themselves from boxing. Because they put the best on the best. And Volk is deserving, and Dana's personality comes into it. But you want to promote a like that who at least shows a little bit, because I've heard like he's a bit of a robot, like he's not your friend when you work for him. He's a billionaire, he's not going to be your friend, mate. The fact that he even like you see him out and about and talking and all that, and I guarantee he's better to work for than what someone who was the iPhone.
Oh, Steve Jobs.
Steve, you wouldn't say it, not the same boss.
No.
Do you know what I'm saying? So you prefer Dana.
He's not going to be in events speaking to you. You know?
Exactly. So I mean, the fact he still comes up, he's the only promoter that comes out, makes it about the fighters, like the boxing fucking shit show they've got going on. Like, anyone that's a boxing fan and that thinks that the UFC need to follow suit, you're a fucking idiot. Don't care who you are, you're an absolute fucking idiot. Boxing is a clusterfuck, it is. The way that you've got promoters talking about fuck knows what, that no one cares about. No one, especially the average fan. They want to see Joshua and they want to see Tyson Fury fight. They want to see them two talk and have an argument on stage and sell some tickets. They don't want to see Eddie Hearn sitting there talking, but God knows how long in this, that, and that. You know what I'm saying about this? And then he passes on to someone that no one knows unless it's you. No one knows who that is, and even you probably don't even know who it is.
Yeah, sometimes.
And then it'll go to someone else. They'll come on and start thanking such and such. That isn't for the cameras, man.
No.
It's really not. That's why I mentioned it last time with David here, when he just absolutely annihilated Eddie Hearn.
Oh, yeah.
When he was like, oh, I was watching Jessica Kelly. You know what I mean? Jess Kelly's interview, and I was really interested to see her. You know what I mean? Seeing it in tears, and then she's just about to start talking. She goes, and then Eddie Hearn borders out the way. He's like, hey, apples and pears. This, that, and that. Talking like all about me again. It's like, it's not the Eddie Hearn show.
I don't mind seeing stuff like online, like when you're doing like little TikToks with that Parsons kid and all that. And but like, have a personality about you. But at the same time, like when these events are this fighter's fighting this fighter, like
it's about
have it this fighter versus fighter.
Like UFC. Do you know what I'm saying? Like the MMA stuff, like the whole.
I prefer MMA as a product as well. Like in terms of the UFC's product, it's better because with boxing, particularly with the Riyadh season stuff, like I know they need to get the money from somewhere.
Yeah,
and I know they're pumping millions and millions and however much in. But I couldn't care less about a Black Eyed Peas concert before the main event. Like I couldn't give a shit. No. I'd rather fight on. Do the national anthem if you really want. You know,
the Tyson event was meant.
Yeah.
It was class.
If you really want to do the national anthems, do that. But just I couldn't care less about the Black Eyed Peas or
something. Have it on it in between the fights and they don't interrupt the fights. That's just like when you had that. Did he not have Snoop on? The Diaz lot. Tyson.
They've had all sorts of shit on.
But I'm saying though, but on their event, the last one, on Jake Paul's one, they've done it well. Where it was like, as much as I didn't like Jake, they credit him. He done it really well in the sense of like he had the stuff on in between the fights, quick, exciting fights.
Yeah. Well, that's what.
There wasn't much fucking stand at the most of them, but they were there.
You don't want to sit there.
Whereas boxing, the main boxing promoters could literally take a thing off Jake Paul, have a promoter shit. Absolutely. Yeah. It's tedious to watch. You're skipping through stuff like this to even say. I mean, I rarely watch them anyway, but when you do, I'm skipping. That's what I'm saying. I'm trying to find stuff that I need to know what I'm talking about here. And I'm fucking skipping through like fucking hell, and then it comes up this little segment of them talking, and you think you literally. I've watched this clip here. It's been advertised as the such and such, and you've watched like 2 minutes of them talk, and at that stage they're sick of the process anyway. So they're like, I'm done with talking. All I want to do is fight. And it's like I totally get that.
Did you watch that when the gloves are off? The Dubai Joshua one.
No.
Dubois like, I'll hit you with a fucking chair and all this shit.
Oh yes, what they say, watch what you say, bro. And it's like
I was buzzing.
It's like, like don't get us wrong, little things like that. Yeah, that's what's gonna sell the fight. That's what you want to see. But that's the exact point.
Yeah.
You see that Dana comes out, he makes it about the fighters, and he comes up and answers, and then he answer the media questions on a different thing.
Aye.
He'll separate it.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh well, we're not taking the time with that because we're not going to get paid. It's all about money. It's about how they can make. They've said it loads of times how they make as much money as quick as possible and fuck it off as quick on to the next one.
Well, they say that every boxing show is like a closing down sale.
Yeah, it is.
They'll pump as much into it as possible to get as much back out.
Yeah.
And then ignore it, and then that's like a different product. And whereas the UFC is a continuous product.
And
it's 311, 312, 330
all the time.
Fight night, blah. It's like a continuous product. Whereas boxing, it's a see how much we can make from this.
Yeah.
Fuck it off. On
and
the
the
next one.
big misconception as well is that everyone's out there making a lot more money in boxing. Like we've had a few people in the gym, and you probably know who you are if you're watching the podcast back. But like, I think I can make more money in boxing. I make right down the line. Do you know what I mean?
If you're a world champion,
if boxing promoter's still going to give you your daft 100 quid or your daft 150 quid on whatever show you're going, whether you're going in there and having a cage fight or you're having a boxing bout, there's not what I mean. It's like I think there's a big misconception about like. I mean, there's about 3 or 4 of them that make the big money in boxing.
The top boxers make more money than the top MMA fighters. Factually, that's
not Conor.
Even Conor, I'd say, because
what you think that
you know how much Canelo asked for to fight.
I know Canelo. I'm saying maybe Canelo.
Maybe that's how much he wanted. He priced himself out of it.
But that's what I'm saying. Maybe Canelo, maybe Floyd.
Tyson Fury, the likes.
Fury.
They're making 10, 12.
But Conor still get paid more than every single person down from you get put on Triple J.
Down from the top.
Triple J. I bet half the people watching this.
But then you
don't know who Triple J is.
Conor's the top one. You know.
Yeah, but then you've got like Anderson Silva. I bet you hear. I bet like Francis Ngannou with his contract.
Ngannou was
much bigger than it was.
8 mil off 3 fights. I think they said he made more boxing Tyson Fury one time than he has.
So maybe if you put the top 5 or the top 6 to 10 boxing compared to top, maybe Conor beats a few of them, but majority of them. But that's it.
Yeah.
I guarantee you now, the next 1,500 people underneath them, or the next 2,000 people, would make. I bet you would put in more money if you start doing MMA fights now, and then 15 fights in, you're fighting for some, the one underneath Cage Warriors or Cage Warriors. I bet Cage Warriors will pay you more. I mean, what's the boxing version of Cage Warriors?
It's not really such a thing, is there?
Because then people are fighting for what? $2,500 and the prelims on Sky Sports, and then they've got to pay all the squad. Like people were saying the other day, we get $2,500. Pay your squad, pay for your boxing, your medicals, taking it serious, your medicals, your travel, your food. You know what I'm saying?
Hotel.
That's what I'm saying. If they're not going to cover all this, and then boxing's all will cover it all at a high level, at a very high level as well. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I'm not being funny. There's this big misconception of it. I got like, you get. I remember the days when, some contracts are a piss take, like with Nate, keep bringing it back to the Nate Diaz boys, as everyone can probably tell, I'm a Diaz fan. But I'll bring it back to them where like Nate used to get 13 and 13. He got 13 and 13 to beat, what was his name again? He stopped him in the first and the second. He had them 3 min fights, man, with Frank Edgar.
Gray Maynard.
Gray Maynard got 45k to fight Nate on his contract, and then Nate got 13 and 13. Now the UFC were technically right, it's in his contract. He wasn't smart enough to negotiate. In 8 fights time, you're going to get 13 and 13, 13 and 13, 13 and 13, 13 and all of this. So looking at it there, you should have gone, well, hang on, what happens if I start winning more?
That was one of the issues with Ngannou, because Ngannou wanted like a 2 or 3 fight contract, and the UFC wanted over like a 7, 8 fight contract. But he knew like, if I win a couple of fights, my price should go up.
But he should have knew that anyway.
Yeah.
So who's the clever one?
Like
I'm not disagreeing with them. They're right. And I'm playing obviously a double-edged sword. One argument, I'm arguing for Diaz, but then I'm saying.
But the company's going to make as much money as possible while spending out as little, because that's.
But then you had the opposite with Gilbert Melendez. When he went across the strike force, he got £250,000 for 6 fights or something.
And that was what, 10 years ago, 12 years
ago? Yeah, that was the way outpriced himself on him. He was like ideal. I'm not. Why would I? He was in Strikeforce.
Yeah.
And I think that was just. That was just before you come to UFC and fought Diego Sanchez.
You know
what I mean? He was like having these but no one was watching him.
No.
You know what I mean? He got the main. There was this big thing off the scrap pack with him, Jake Shields, and the 2 Diaz boys.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this big brand. They've done it right. You know what I mean? But obviously Nate did. It was like, it's on him, but at the same time, you kind of then say he's a 13 and 13 fighter. There should have been some stipulation in place where you go, hang on, Jake's just got 45 grand, I've just got, 26, and I've stopped him in the first round in a devastating way, clean, right? Put 30k on his pay or something, do you know what I mean? Like, something like that. Pay everything off so he actually gets his 26k.
But then you've got to negotiate for that, don't you?
100%,
They're going to pay out as little as they can to make more money.
So 100%.
Business, at the end of the day. Business is business, isn't it?
100%, mate, 100%.
Whereas in boxing, I mean, I know an ex-European champion who's, I've sparred with a good few times, really decent mate of mine from down Leicester, and he's only making, he coaches as well, like in the gym, and he lives in an apartment just on top of the gym. I think he's fighting probably 3 times a year, because he's not on BT or Sky anymore. He's just fighting on cards in the Midlands, and he's only making like 30, 40 grand a year.
And that's massive for
when
you fight.
Don't get me wrong, I'll take 30, 40 grand a year, but at that level of fighting where he's paid to, he's fought Anthony Kacachi, who just won a world championship.
That's what I'm saying, you're getting brain damage on a weekly
basis. Exactly.
That much money, it needs to be life changing. And unless you're smart with your money, I mean, don't get us wrong, 30, 40 grand a year isn't life changing money, especially now. I mean, don't get us wrong, it can set you up if you're really, really, really smart with it.
It's decent money as an annual wage, but it's not a life changing amount of money.
No, and it isn't. Like, people are not making. I mean, Christ, I wish I'd ever had, but people are like, I can't believe when people say that when they're in London, like, you're not on good money, you're on 100 grand a year. How do you live? Do you know what I mean? It's like, where's what I'm saying? It's like
50 grand's like the equivalent of like 18.
Yeah, they can't believe it when they saw it come down here, and they're like, like people from London compared to Newcastle, for people who don't know what we're talking about, like, it's a completely different lifestyle. Like, it's a 3-hour drive. 4.
If you for you probably 2.5.
It's a maybe 3 to 5 hour drive depending on how fast or slow you drive, right? But when in London, if you work a mile away from home, it's going to take you an hour and a bit to get there if you drive, so you'd walk or get public transport. Whereas here, you work a mile away from home, you're going to jump in the car, it's going to take you 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Like everyone, it's like, I remember when like a lot of people come down from London to Newcastle, and then they were like, oh, I couldn't believe the time I'm living like, what was it, like 20 mile away from work, and I thought, well, that's going to take us 2 hours in the morning, and I went on my sat nav and it says it's going to take like half an hour, 20 minutes, and they're like, what? Because can't understand it. So it's so much different.
I mean,
it's like
here and Water's like what, however many miles? That only takes 30 minutes, 40 minutes.
Well, exactly. It's like me, I live 15 mile away from my gym. It takes us 45 minutes, 30 minutes to get here. Like, no traffic, 25. So it's like, it blows people's mind from London, that, you know what I mean? So it's like, to live off, like, to make, like you say, depending on where he is in the Midlands and all that, what's the living cost, what's his outgoings, that's like 40 grand a year. It's like, wow, you know what I mean? You better be good at saving.
Your medical's not a couple grand straight away, is it?
Exactly. Your license.
Yeah.
I mean,
Just to get licensed.
And to explain that as well, I don't
medical's
went into this, like the pro card.
No.
So people say, I'm a pro, you might know pro boxers, you might know pro MMA fighters and things like this, right? You can go and buy your pro card, right? It's not like you earn your card. So everyone thinks it's this thing that like, is he pro? Is she pro? Yeah, and then you see them and they're not pro. There's a pro and then there's a pro. Yeah, and it's like you see someone
just
fighting.
take a fight and they call it a pro fight.
You
don't even have to apply.
You don't even have a license.
Yeah.
But in boxing, to get your pro license, you just apply for it. Like you don't have to have any amateur bouts. You don't have to have a background in it.
They can't say no.
It's rare.
Aye.
It's rare. Do you know what I mean? Some of the, I would love to see a case modern now when they've said no, because I'll tell you what. I've seen some lads on the Sky Sports on the
Aye. Where they're like owned 48 or something like that just to lose.
It looks like a joke. Like he's not taking the piss. Like own 15, own 31, fighting some lad that's 3-2. You know what I mean? Or 3-0, and it's like, oh, he's gonna get smashed to bits, and it's like, well, of course he is. Absolutely, he's not won a fight. What's his name? And you've got some lad kicking the, you know what I mean? There's literally putting he shouldn't be in there with. And it's like a lot of, that's why the padded records come from it. What I'm saying, it's like
there's this one lad and he's called Reese Street,
right?
And he must be probably, since I've last looked at his box record, it's probably more than that now. But he's like 0-60 something. But he's
0-60.
It's like 63 something like that. And it is his moniker.
Why would you let him fight?
Well, his nickname is Reese, a nightmare on Elm, and then obviously his surname is Street. But obviously, it's not much of a nightmare if you're fighting someone who's on 60.
I'll be honest as well, like if anyone else is watching from your gym or thinks about coming to your gym and you're fighting and all that, if you've got a nickname, you need to lose that. Like, you need to lose your nickname before you come and train in your gym, or just don't come to your gym, like, because we're not having nicknames at your gym and that. It's I mean, for kids, if you're under
45,
if you're under 13, you can have a nickname. You know, we've got like little Cameron Killer Cameron. You know.
What about yours? Carl the Grass Forest.
The knock.
The tree.
I thought you meant like a grass.
No,
that's what I'm like the least thinking of a grass ever. So a grass in Newcastle is someone that tells on someone like a knock, you know, like some fucking.
The polish,
you
man.
Definitely don't grass fucking down here ever. I looked really, the grass. Yeah, I haven't gone to his. He's a grass. I call the grass. Christ.
Come through the door in there.
Aye.
Yeah,
nah, it's just nicknames. It's like, oh my god, don't get us wrong. I'm again playing devil's advocate. If you've made it, right, like the Korean Zombie, I love that because he's like, you should have a nickname if you've really earned it. You know what I mean? Like over the time, there's a guy in the UFC. Even in his early MMA days, before he was in the UFC, he was just like, you couldn't beat him, you couldn't knock him out, you know what I mean? He was like, you hit him with the head of the baseball bat, he'd still go forward, hit your hand. So he ended up getting the nickname, he was from Korea, so they called him the Korean Zombie, which is suited him. They made like fan art of him.
He goes by
Yeah, and like he come out with a
he's retired now, bless him.
He's retired, but he come out with like that song.
And the Cranberries.
The Cranberries, So it was sick. And little things like that, like, you know, like the Diamond, I love that. I never used to, but then as he's become the Diamond, and like you've like Dustin Poirier,
you know,
the Diamond's like, mate, like you haven't when he first started. And the Diamond's like, what do you mean? Well, like for loads of pressure to get. You're just in the UFC now. Now he's the Diamond. When he's gone through everything he's been through. Do you know what I mean?
I remember about a year and a half ago, I was watching. I can't remember which one it was, but I was watching one of the Dustin Poirier bouts, and Dustin Poirier, for anyone that doesn't know, is my favourite UFC fighter ever. I just think he's an absolute G. And I was lying there in bed watching it on the laptop.
It's not as good as Nate, but he's good.
And Meg turns to us and goes, "Oh, which one are we going for?" And I says, "Oh, this one here." And it was when he was just got his hot sauce in it.
Right,
goes, "Oh, hot sauce, man." I'm like, "Aye, hot sauce, man." That's all she calls him.
Do you know what I loved when he got Conor? I know about Conor McGregor's fast program. For fast this and fast that and fast this. Yeah. And then just the Poirier, McGregor fast asleep. It was class. It was mint.
It's like
it used to be for me. It used to be cringy Poirier when you'd watch him, but then he just seemed to not care when he got older. He seemed to grow up.
He just fight anything.
Aye.
If you put 3 beers in,
but you can see it in him, like you can see it in his mum's eyes when she talked about like he's been a naughty boy. Like MMA has saved him. You know what I mean? He is really good. Like as an all-round MMA fighter, he's one of the best ever do it. I think Poirier. Like
he's a bad man as well.
He hits correctly. Do you know what I mean? Like to knock out Conor without Conor's in his prime now, and not to knock out a predominant boxer. He was going to cannon him with left hand still. Do you know what I mean? And like adapt yourself and be game enough to go in there the second time round and like I'm gonna kill you. Like after getting knocked out, because Conor. He hit Conor clean the first fight and Conor just walked through.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
He's different, wasn't it? 145. I don't know how Poirier ever made that weight. He's huge at 155, and now he's obviously put on a bit of size.
He's wide, he's so thick.
He's like a square.
He's big, like.
He's got a rectangular.
It's like Aaron or someone, like, or grappling coach, shout out Aaron, it's like him trying to make 135 or something. He's huge. But then again, like, I think the main thing that, like, for me that stood out, for them big hands, the one going down to 45, Poirier, Max. Max does it well, to be fair, but Max shouldn't. I don't even think Max should be. He's just. I think the thing that gets Max, he's not wide. He's like the opposite of Poirier.
He's just
like.
He's
lean.
He's very long.
He's like a can, isn't he? Like he's tall and big. Like you can probably fight at 170 Max because his head's big.
If he put a lot on, he probably could. Yeah.
He would.
I mean, he fought at 155, didn't he? Twice.
I think he would definitely fight at 170 Max. He would just look. You wouldn't be ripped on up there. Don't get us wrong, but it's like you wouldn't suit it as well as Poirier. It's like Poirier and like Conor and that. But I think the fact that they could still take the shots, like I loved when Conor said that to Chad Mendes when he was like, "You're supposed to be the Mike Tyson in 145, and I put your hands down, walk forward, and you hit like a fucking straw weight." And it's like, wow, that would be a nightmare. That like, that's one thing I can say. Like, the few like when we have like very few times you'll have hard sparring, like you know when you catch someone and you've put a little bit on it and you'll hurt them. It would be disheartening to hit someone that's best and clean and they just look at you and shake their head and walk.
It's like you know when you have a dream.
Yeah. And you kind of hit them.
That's the worst for me because I'll wake up.
Because I've never experienced that in my life.
I'll wake up and go, I'm like.
You have them dreams where you try your hardest to hit them and they just
do I know anything? I'm like, what's going on?
No, it happens.
I'm like, can I protect myself? Is other punks going to be alright? You know? I'm like,
But sometimes your arm hurts when you do it. Like, how am I hitting them? Like, and you're moving in slow motion. It's like mad, but I think that would be very disheartening. Like, but then again, you know, I think any. I was going to say if you had went any lower in weight, he would have got dropped with shots. But I just think the fact he was very aware of his distance, you could see the shots coming all the time. He didn't get hit with many shots he didn't see coming. Conor. So even when he fought Chad Mendes caught him a few times, quite nicely with like a looping hook. It
was mainly just because he hadn't exited the ring on his terms, though, wasn't it? He was very rarely forced into someone else's range, kind of thing. Like he always controlled that distance.
That's what I wanted to see. Because they both put the pressure on each other, didn't they? It was like who's going to keep the pressure up on the most. But I would have, like I say, I know the thought I would love to have seen Conor just like when he was like really at the top point, and then Nate at the top point to say 55 as well.
Did you see he was in town yesterday? No.
Aye. Brandon seen him. Brandon seen him. It was at he sent us a picture. He got a picture with Mickey Terrell. Shout out to Mickey, world champion of the world, Geordie boy. Bare knuckle. You got a picture with him.
I saw he sent us on WhatsApp.
Mickey's a big bloke, like, isn't he? I heard, I don't know if it's true, like, so Mickey, if I don't think you'll say this and everyone knows Mickey, but I don't know if it's true, what's through the grapevine, but I've heard it when he used to, because he was like, I've watched one of his fights on the telly once, I'm sure it was Sky Sports or Eurosport or something, he fought like #1 in the world.
Right.
Awesome fight, like, Mickey doesn't look like Mickey.
Was that like K1 or something?
Aye.
Right.
And Mickey doesn't look like Mickey now, he's like lean, you know what I mean? He look more like Brandon now, he's like, obviously he's put a lot of size on. And but I heard that then, I don't know if it was another when he was training, he could kick a wooden post on half, like a 2x4 something. I would his low kick.
That's the
the shin kick. I mean, obviously you've seen like people do it on mine.
Yeah.
The power that man must have, like. But it's good to have like a world champion, do you know what I mean? Especially so close to home, like Nicky, like it's class. Doing the lads proud, doing the Geordies proud, like it's mint. But
right.
That'd be a good fight actually. Rodriguez and Topuria. I think Topuria not moved.
Yeah, it would. I don't think Rodriguez would have enough to keep him off him.
You wouldn't be surprised though if Rodriguez did spot him though.
By mistake, probably.
Aye.
Probably just flick his legs someday, you know.
He can't stick kick him with somebody's knee in the jaw. Aye, but yeah, I think we'll go to the next segment, meme of the day. I seen a funny one was when Max was due to fight Topuria.
Right.
Showing you that one.
Oh yeah.
It was just like some of the. I just think it's great, like you know the way that the fucking pictures are taken sometimes, and like it must be like a kind of good job still.
Yeah. Oh, just
you know, like.
They
can't remember and then like catching the right point and thinking, oh, there's a meme. and like Topuria looks absolutely terrified. He's like the least scared person of anyone. And he looks
after that 80 knockout, everyone was gathering, like, you know, that going, oh, Topuria shit himself, you know. He's got no chance.
But Max is like screaming this one,
And someone in Graf, man, I said to him, I went, mate, I love Max Holloway as much as the next guy, but Topuria's going to stop him in the middle rounds at some point.
Oh, did he?
And I bet my $5 on it. He gave us the $5.
Did he?
I says, mate, like there's not a chance Max gets through this fight, right? and he's going, no, it's Max. Max doesn't get stopped in that. He went, do you see Topuria shit himself when Max knocked Gaethje out, like? And I went, I mean, I saw the photo.
Right.
I was like, and I saw the video.
It's like when you kind of, it always gets me like silliness, stupidity. And memes like that where like someone will clip someone and say something else, it always gets us like, it's so funny. It's like when you were saying this, like if you can take something and then like transcend it over to the gym and like say, oh, this is such and such.
Yeah.
It's class, like. But there was a funny one. We'll whack it up for you so you can see. It's funny, like, the way he's just like looking like, if you haven't seen it, like it was the #1 moment of MMA. Well, I think that's probably is.
It was big at the time.
Probably is like, it's like he points at the floor. Max Holloway's got this thing where like at the end of the fight he'd like point at the floor. He'd be like, "Oh, we're gonna go." He said he's the new logo they've got him. It's sick, the logo. Some people are so gifted with making logos.
Yeah.
It's like the fingers, it's like 3 lines.
So that was really memorable as well, isn't it? Like it's easy. It's dead easy.
So easy, I know. What I mean, I like all triangles and that, but that's sick.
Like Michael Jordan, like you know, jump man.
Yeah. I wish I had had that. Like I would have made something. I know what I mean. It was class. But anyway, Max Holloway at the end of the fight, whether it's close or not, that's why everyone loves him. One of the many reasons. He would point at the floor and like in the middle of the ring or middle of the octagon and say, "Let's go," and then like we'll swing for it. And like he'd done it this time with this absolute legend who's been known before he got into the UFC and like his last organisations for putting on like amazing fights and
the highlight reel.
And he's another one that's earned his nickname.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like he's earned it. You couldn't call it. That's a good example as well. You can't say I'm a highlight reel before you've got famous.
However many knockouts
and then you lived up to it. Now you're the highlight reel. Do you know what I mean? But you may as well just call yourself hype. Do you know what I mean? Because I'm hyping myself up until I get a highlight reel. But he does this thing and this other kid that Gaethje's game, the fight the bear, do you know what I mean? Like he's absolutely class and he just was like, I need bother, so they just walked forward. And Max was winning, but it was still dangerous to do.
He was probably 4 rounds up.
Against the smaller man, against the bigger man as well, because Gaethje's the bigger man, like thick set wise. And
well, he was up a weight class. Max is 145.
Yeah, he's one up a weight and still done it.
He was up in weight for it.
And he's not known to like knock people. He's sort of hitting hard out older. He's got like he's not known to be a big knockout shot.
It's volume. It's all volume.
And he catches him just bam, and
sick and out.
He was just like someone cut the strings off a puppet, you know, he just falls and face plants the floor, and instantly the memes were coming up, you know what I mean? But obviously of Gaethje, bless him, this is the one when he does, because whenever Gaethje wins normally, he'll run and do a backflip off the cage. You see the one someone done when he's done a backflip off the cage and then they cut it there. It's like
Justin Gaethje! Oh my goodness!
But like
the best ones are the instruments. I think I showed you the
They're getting up there and playing the trombone.
It's like them like this, and then like playing the trombone like this.
But like, that could be us one day. Like,
that's a natural scientific reaction. You're not.
You're not seeing when something's a double leg the ref.
Yeah.
They grab the ref and start trying to fight the ref. Double leg as I grab a single on you. But no, he done that, and then like he gets this big knockout, face plants the floor, and he's like screaming, running around like this, and then there's like Topuria, the current champion, who's just knocked out or TKO'd Max, is like in the crowd looking down like, fucking hell, like, so that's the last thing I want to do, be fighting him. But it's just funny the way people have put it together, like, it's good
then
stuff.
In hindsight, you can't just sparks him.
Yeah, then like he just went out there and done him in hindsight, like.
Yeah, it's mad.
But I think we'll go on to the last segment of the podcast. We're going to discuss politely. We don't have to be polite about it, but we will, because it was an absolute cluster mess, to say the least. But and there has been other teams who haven't been happy about it. But you know, it's understandable. But we've had a few of the lads fighting. Had a show recently, and I think it's important as well for any fighters or upcoming fighters or anyone who, you know, this podcast might be 4 or 5 year old by the time you're watching it. Aspiring fighters coming up, you need to understand there's a lot of the time you say uncontrollable things to like pull out. You know, you can do all the training in the world, get through all the red tape in camp. I hate the term camp, but you know, the 6 or 8 weeks you're training, because you should be. I hate the term camp because you should be training all year anyway. But when you do sign the line and you're going to fight, you can do everything right. You know what I mean? In the last session before, I've had my knee dislocated the last session, the last round of the last rep on the Friday. You know, literally the fight's on Thursday, I should say, and the fight was on the Saturday. And we've had like all of our team done everything they needed to. You know, professionally trained, professionally made weight, done everything on time. You know, everything was done properly. Promoter done everything superb. Shout out to Cameron, IK Martial Arts.
Very good show, really good show.
Really good show. But yeah, at the last minute, he just had a full entire team pull out, and it dropped like 4 or 5 of the lads in the shift. Big style,
including Cameron himself.
Including the
He
promoter,
was meant to be main event with one of the lads.
Yeah, he was meant to be a main event, and it's just not ideal. I won't mention the gym. I could quite easily, but I'm not going to. I think most people by now who are quite close in the circles know who it is. All you've got to do is search it and you know how to avoid.
On Facebook, a lot of the, particularly in the northeast, a lot of the promoters from different promotions and stuff, they've all kind of talked about it and blacklisted them essentially.
It's not a good position to be in, like, for them, but they brought on themselves. I mean, I've seen the word sabotage right around as well. I didn't actually think that. I'm maybe me being naive that, but I like to give people the benefit of the doubt. But I just don't understand how a full team could pull out an hour before the bouts. I mean, it's a fucking joke, to be honest with you. Like, it's not good at all, and anyone, it's a disgrace on Cameron, the young lad. He's put a lot of work in. Anyone that's ran a show will tell you, you know, sometimes you've got to put a lump down before you're in debt before you make any money at all. So well, like, good people think that, oh, this, that, that. You know, unless you're running a business, gym owners don't make a massive amount of money, like, you know, unless there's some kind of curriculum in place or a business there that they're actually building up. And one of the main reasons that they put on these shows, not saying anyone does it to make money, but it's you know, it's a commodity that you do benefit from out of these shows, that you want to still make a little bit of coin out of it. Whether you just cover your costs, whether you
gone back into the gym,
yeah,
stuff like that,
you know, reinvest it back into your business. 100%. It's like, you know, you put fundraisers on for a reason, to help a good cause, but then to put money back into the gym a little bit, you know. And I just think it's you know, pull out if you want, but at least give the lads a week notice, 2 weeks notice minimum. Do you know what I mean? Get someone else in. Give the lads. It's the lads who are training on a show, so just prepare for it. Like I say, you know, I've always told the lads in the gym, like, there's not a lot you can do. The uncontrollables, you can just control how it affects you. So it's like, I'm even told Jake that, you know what I'm saying, innit? Like, you know, this great England boxer guys, you know, absolute, you know, gifted, knows what he's doing, he knows the game more than most. Around this level that I've seen, you know, he's got a technical brain for it. But, you know, the kid had, you know, boxed and had more fights than most people have had hot dinners, and, you know, there's a consequence of that sometimes. So Jake's going through a process now where he's trying to find out whether he can box again. You know, God help the weight division if he does, because, you know, if he does start competing again, you know, people keep their eyes out for him. But it's like, at the same time, there's a lot of uncontrollable guys where, like, you might end up with an injury that you weren't expecting at the last point that you didn't expect it. You might end up having the lad pull out the last pull out on the night. You know, you might get violently sick. You know, there's all these things that you might, you know, again, to use the word uncontrollable, but I just think, like I say, if you can try and do your best to negate these things as possible, and especially if you are going to be the person that pulls out, whether you've lost your bottle or you've had a circumstance in life that is going to pop up, you know, let the lads know, or let the lasses know as quick as possible, because it's not on, you know what I mean? What was your thoughts on it, Jay?
One thing I will say on that is we got a little bit lucky, because two of our lads were due to fight people from that gym. One of them managed to get an exhibition bout in.
20 minutes notice, by the way.
20 minutes notice, yeah.
That was George from Hybrid Boxing.
Up Amble.
Big shout out to George. Like on 20 minutes notice, the kid's eating his dinner, gets a phone call saying you want a boxing bout. Granted, it's an exhibition. You know, kid's out waking, you're going to give a few kilo away, but he put his food down, put it in the microwave, came, fought, and then went back and had his food.
And bear in mind, Brandon had been training however long.
You had a full camp.
Brandon had a full boxing camp.
I mean, don't get it. You had a few shift issues where you couldn't train a few weeks.
But he was learning the ranges in terms of boxing as a sport, and he was entirely putting it into boxing. George is a kickboxer, and he come in and gave a good account of himself. His last wasn't happy about it. I think he might have had some amends to make up after, because he was meant to spend time with that.
Yeah.
I've heard something about, he said he'd prefer to be there anyway, or something.
George, you done me a favour, boss. Yeah, he didn't really say that,
but yeah, in terms of, I mean, the other lad that we've got Owen. Obviously Owen, everyone particularly around the gym knows, because he helps out with the coaching. North East champion in his light contact and stuff. Very, very talented kid, and one thing I will say is he handled it very well. Like an adult. Like an adult. I mean, he is. Don't get me wrong. He's grown into a young man, but he's still a boy, as you like to say. Sometimes he's 17 years of age, and he
just turned that.
I know a lot of people who, even in the gym, outside the gym, would have been stomping about like, where is he? Blah blah blah. Whereas he handled it like an adult. He went out and even cornered George against Brandon. So it goes to show, like, he's got his head screwed on more than some people who are probably twice his age. A lot more life experience. As well. But it was just, I think, like I say, you can only do with what you can do at the best of the time. I think it's tempting as well to blow your lid. It can be, especially when that much work's been put in. But as Jake's just said there, you know, you can kick off as much as you want, but it's not going to really change much. You know, it's not going to change anything. It's not going to change anything. Like, it'll put you in a worse position, if anything, because you'll dampen your mood for the rest of the day, the week, however long.
And your reputation for people that don't want to see you kicking off.
I mean, if you put it off in the changing rooms, you've got this gym next year, that gym next year.
They'll also might be looking at it like, well, what can you do about
it? And he's throwing a strop and this, that, and the other. Like, it just doesn't look good on this gym either, you know. So to be able to hold your head like that's really good, you know.
Yeah, and I think, like I say, for the lads that we've seen as well, a few of the gyms there, everyone was up and really professional. We're going to try, like I say, looking at costs and put a show on ourselves, to obviously try and negate as much of this as possible. But again, you know, we're fully aware, you know, I've got a bit life experience on the lads, and I always just try and pass what I've learned down to them and just say, look, you know, even what will be, you know, it's even on the night. You know what I mean? We could get people pulling out, we could get people pulling out left, right and centre, but our goal is to try to put, like, you know, a family orientated show on with the top skills. So the reputable gyms out there, we'll be looking to do something in the future with AK, putting like a dual show on, getting maybe MMA bouts in there, boxing and then kickboxing, if you're into Muay Thai fights as well. So there's a few different skill sets and a few different crafts that can be applied to it, but obviously trying to get something together, maybe working a few gyms together so we can have like this team fighting the majority of lads on this team and this team and this team, then you can get a good, you know, 10, 15, 20 fights on and negate as much pullouts as possible or as much issues as possible, you know. So that's kind of the plan, isn't it?
If you keep it as tight knit in that circle as possible and not have to look the journeyman from down here, this person from up here, then as you say, you are less likely to get them pullouts, and if you do, you know they're more likely to be legitimate pullouts.
Exactly.
So
you know what I'm saying?
It's not less of a he's bottled it type scenario, more of there's a genuine issue.
And I wouldn't worry, like I say, it's like you've probably heard it from a much higher level than us as well, but it's like, or a much bigger status than us, but it's like, don't comment, don't focus or comment too much on that person, just focus on yourself. Like Brandon and Owen had 2 pullouts, but meant to fight one lad. Owen had been meant to fight in, you know, his game up until a few nights beforehand, then all of a sudden he pulls out, and then Brandon's opponent, his game until all of a sudden Brandon accepts the fight and then the kid breaks his arm, and then the next thing, someone else's game until we don't pull out or Owen doesn't pull out, and then he doesn't want to fight no more. So don't focus too much on, it's good to know at a higher level if he's southpaw, if he's left-handed or right-handed, you know, does he have a good jab, is he going to move a certain way, But then if Jake's got a good jab and moves well, he's got a good jab and overhand, right? Don't just focus too much on them shots, because what happens if he doesn't throw them?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You spent the past 6 weeks developing a counter off a jab or a counter off an overhand or a move system that works or a mechanic. He just doesn't throw. He doesn't even. And then your games are focus on yourself. Do you know what I mean? Yes. How good of a martial artist at your craft are you? And then take it forward and think, right, well, how does my style match up against his? And I got caught with this, so I need to learn from this, as opposed to, right, well, I'm fighting Jake at 62 kilo and he's a southpaw lad and he's got more of an amateur Soviet style, right? Okay, so I'm going to train like this 2 weeks beforehand. All right, now you're fighting a bro that likes to get on the inside. Oh, he pulled out. And then it's like, oh, well, now you're fighting some, long Nigerian lad who's had 50 odd bouts literally like, last year, and he's going for the Olympics, you know what I'm saying? And, he comes in and he's rangy and he's timing this, and then all of it, so just train for yourself, do you know what I mean? Because something in between there, if you show up on the night, could beat all three of them styles, do you know what I'm saying? But yeah, I think it's just important to keep in mind that, like, you need to focus on yourself, focus on your own path, and just like I say, be laid back about it all, mate. Try and be down to earth, innit? Because if you're down to earth about it all, I think you're going to get respect from other teams as well.
One thing I will mention as well, in terms of on the night, I mean, we did have two lads fight, two juniors fight the lads that were supposed to fight initially, which was great, and they both had really good bouts. One of them, Cameron, was in a boxing bout. He got junior fight of the night, I believe it was. It was an absolutely brilliant bout, to be fair.
Brilliant performance.
It was great, and to be honest with you, in terms of out the 4 people that were matched initially, and he might be watching this, so I'll be careful because he will chin me in the gym after. But out of all of them, he was the one I was a little bit worried about, just defensively and stuff. 100%. And I was worried that he wasn't quite going to be able to get that.
We're both watching this when he's 17, but
in 10 years' time, I'm going to get him neck now. But I mean, I was worried that he wasn't quite in training, like getting defensively there, and also getting that idea of working off the jab all the time. And then when it come to the bout, all he did was jab, and I was buzzing, and he listened really well. He looked like a boxer.
Yeah, he's mechanically like a boxer, just a little bit messy on certain entries, but he was moving like a boxer.
And it was his first
ever.
competitive experience ever. Not just bout, not tournament, nothing. He's had note like that before.
Yeah. And you say the kid, it wasn't his debut.
No.
Which I found out afterwards it wasn't as well, by the way. But again, we're not going to cry about silly things like that, but
just deal with what you got to deal with.
We deal with what we deal with, but that's another thing. Be honest as well. Don't tell us it's a debut if it's not the debut, because we'll always find out if it's not. But Cameron done really well against a more experienced lad. And the best thing to say afterwards, we're both little best pals. When
chatting on in the change room.
The lad he fought with Sam, he was a nice little
lad. Lovely kid, yeah.
But we're an MMA team, and that's I think where me and Jake are really most proud of. You know what I mean? Especially Jake is getting his purple belt. His purple belt. He's not just a boxer anymore, but it's a case of, like, in kickboxing, he's had his purple belt there, by the way, but not Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And I've been training 7 or 8 years.
I'm a killer!
Not an anaconda yet.
Come here, Aaron, come here.
Aye, he's a tiger on the feet, but a worm on the floor.
I still
getting there though. More of a grass snake now.
I'm getting there.
But I what was I saying there? Digressed. But MMA team predominantly, I think that's where me and him gets the most proud. Same as one when he's coaching the youngins, because we're practicing kickboxing twice a week. We're doing boxing twice a week. We're doing MMA twice a week. We've got one jiu-jitsu class at the minute. It's a grappling class. We're a 20-month-old gym. We're still a baby as a gym. And the standards we really started. The one thing that everyone's commenting now, and other teams as well, is the standard of the gym. And we're down to earth lads. We've got no egos about it. We're certainly not intimidated by other gyms, but we're also aware of the situation. That we're very young, and we're all here to, we're all sharing a common interest. So I can't really see the point of having any malice for people, to be honest. It doesn't really make sense.
It's just about giving everyone that experience.
It is, of course. And then for our lads to be going in, like Brandon fought he's an MMA lad, training Muay Thai or kickboxing, say K1, 33% of the year. That's when he's here. And he's here, he is committed, but he's training at 33% of the time. And he's going in there fighting teams who are doing Muay Thai and K1 all year. And then Cameron, he's 11, just turned 11-year-old, didn't want to spar anyone, didn't want to fight anyone first, no confidence, bless him, to now going in and fighting a boxer and boxing rules from a boxing squad, and more than holding his own. Like, the fight was razor close, you know what I mean? It was just madness. Like, experience took over really. neither one of them were really hitting hard enough to hurt each other properly anyway in the first bout, but it's like, you know, you got to stand an 8 count due to literally holding his hands up and not moving, shouting at us at the same time. It's not hurting, no, it's not hurting. Doesn't matter if it hurts.
All he had to do was check hook and pivot, and he would have won the bout.
It would have either been a win or a draw. You know, I
thought it was a draw anyways on the basis. First
I thought it was a draw because on the last round he had to stop twice with his head guard. Now you might say it's a head guard stoppage, but at the same time he still had to adjust his head guard twice but getting clipped in the head.
I think ignoring that he won that round anyway. I think he took 2 and 3. So I think there should have been a draw.
I could see an argument for the first round the Kid, middle round draw, then the third round Cameron, or you could see an argument for the first round the Kid and the second 2 Cameron, but we're going to be biased. It's Cameron who's from the squad. They'd probably say the same about them. Do you know what I mean? They might say that he won all 3 because he got the stoppage in the first or the count, and then. But that's what it's about. It's about experience. You know, there certainly wasn't any, you know, what we think this and we think that afterwards. The hands were shaking, you know, and if it had been anything other, there would have been a bow talk, and then that would have been it. It would have been on to the next. I just think, like I say, it's important to keep in mind all the time. Respect first, isn't it? That's what we always tell the lads, you know, always try to show, unless obviously people aren't showing respect back, and then it's a case of, well,
but even so, just be a bigger person, you know.
Yeah,
it's easy done. I mean, it's harder to be malicious and nasty than it is to just not.
I think a lot of time it's forced as well, mate. I think you've got to have an actual genuine problem with someone to have a problem with them, and then it's like, well, then why are we just going to protect myself, or why am I going to protect you on a set of boxing rules? Okay, boxing rules.
Well, this is it. I mean,
do you know what I mean? If I really don't like you, I want to either hurt you in the best condition possible. It's going to be MMA.
But you're only competitors, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like you don't
make more of it than it is.
like that,
I think people make more of it than it is, isn't it?
He hasn't slagged off your family or your sister, your mum, whatever. Like,
you've got to get yourself to a certain point. Yeah, and I'm not friends with anyone before I fight them. Don't get us wrong.
Yeah, you don't have to be malicious and like that.
If me and you are fighting, I'm not going to shake your hand and things beforehand. You know, pally and all. Good luck. No, but I'm certainly not going to, you know. Your mum's listening, no, what's all that about? And I mean, like you said very well there, you're competitors for a certain little time and then you move on to the next. Like I think, like I say, sometimes it seems a bit forced.
Aye.
You know what I mean, especially at a lower level. But like I say, shows are shows. I'm sure promoters out there and other gym owners who put the shows on have seen the fair share of ins and outs and, you know, peaks and troughs and things. But I think as long as you can say you try to do your best with what you have on the night, you try to put the fairest matches on, you know, give the audience a good show to watch and a good spectacle there to watch and see, well, it was a good show, there was some good standards on there, a good diversity of different skill crafts in there as well, and keep the atmosphere as best as possible. That's all you can do. Do you know what I mean? And it'd be fair, mate. Like I say, there's only like a handful of times, there's only a handful of venues that I wouldn't go to because most of the time over the years, that's when you do see the problems, isn't it?
Well, that's the thing, and a lot of the time it's like, you've got to think, particularly as you mentioned before, if you have a core few gyms that you're going to make that show from.
Yeah.
If each fighter has 10 tickets, say you put on 20 bouts, that's 400 tickets straight away. If you've got a 600 seater venue,
and then you've
got 2/3 of the crowd up, family members, friends. So they're not going to boot off or do whatever, you know. So it's the best way to ensure that it's a safe environment for everyone as well. So
I mean, you're always going to get people buying. You want to sell the tickets, you know what I mean? I think a lot of the time you've got to have like a certain amount of money poured into it and have a certain. You've got to guarantee a certain amount of tickets. You know what I'm saying? But it's like you're saying, you can control at least some of it. You know what I mean?
I mean, there's some shows I know where they'll give fighters, they'll say, right, you've got to sell 15 tickets to fight on it.
100%.
And it's like
that's a lot of time they put like a lump down.
And then they have to recuperate that back.
Aye. But yeah, like I say, I think we'll wrap it up there, guys. Again, we're going to be looking at content as well, which we have been busy filming on an individual basis as well for like boxing drills, kickboxing drills from like a base level right up to like I say professional levels. So there's lots of content coming like that. There's going to be like an online program coming up soon as well. So we're going to be doing like a few little bits and bobs on there. For people that kind of always get to the gym, there may be different situations or different circumstances, so it gives a little option for them, nutrition advice and things like that. But yeah, probably doing a few little videos leading up to a handful of the lads competitions, or the like, young girl and lads competitions coming up to like WKO, things like that points. And then obviously you've got the boxing bouts and MMA bouts.
We've got one on the 17th, haven't we? A tournament on the 17th where I think there's probably like 10, 11 kids now who are competing in that.
Oh yeah, 1 to anyway, isn't it? So it's starting to happen, like I say, and you know, just getting that, it's just starting to get that little bit of momentum now. So obviously with that momentum comes more work as well. So hence the podcast taking a bit longer, but we are going to try obviously keeping on them as well. hopefully the third episode will be out pretty soon.
Yeah, it won't be as long as a gap in between.
No.
We've got our table now. So
we've got the main setup now.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Now we've got the infrastructure. You know what I mean? And we've got the actual parts that we need for the business to work. No, this was the key thing, but aye. But yeah, thanks again, everyone. Coach Collier from ShadowBox Martial Arts, Coach Jake. Hope everyone has a good day.